So, girls and boys, if you're at home and you're not here and you've got to go over the video, I'm just going over all of the answers. Pause the video if you need to. Did I forget one up here? Didn't we forget one?
Yes.
895. So 8 is in the 100 spot. 90 is in the 10 spot. 30. Oh, who just said? Who just said? Who corrected me? Tristan, and who else? Okay, two of you. I'll get you candy in a second. All right. Okay. So this is going to be 839. And then so pause the video to get the rest of these answers. I'll just say that these units, there were 10 sections. So it's 10, 20, but you put 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. And so the intervals were 10. And again, view how we did this. And now we're going over, we're catching up, but pause the video if you're at home to catch anything up. So on this one, again, the smaller numbers is when the 3 is the same, the 9 is the same, but the 6 is smaller than the 8. So the smaller number gets 1 dot, the bigger number gets 2. And then we can connect this. And this means it looks like a crushed L. 296 is less than 398. This one, 200, is smaller than 300. So again, 1 dot, 2 dot, and we connect that. 223 is smaller than or less than the 332. These were obviously equal, and we put the equal sign. Then let's go through to the back, because your test is going to look very much like this. If you can do well on this, you should do well on the test. So now, oh, you have to do this one. So Stefan, listen carefully because you're going to help me with some of these. Which lists of numbers are shown in the order from least to greatest? So we're starting from the least. So this, the 69, those are kind of, but then it goes 68. Is this from the least? No. Which is the smallest one? What do you think, Tenny? Yeah, the 687. So I can look at the first two numbers. So that's not least to greatest. So you can cross that off. Then the next, what? Yes, ma'am. But it's okay. I need to go through it with everybody else. And this one I'm going to look at the front two numbers, 57, 58, 58. So far, that's okay. So this one I know is the smallest. Now we just have to look at these two. We'll look at the last two, 87 and 88. Does that go from the smallest to the biggest? Yes. So I'm going to circle that, or we can circle the whole thing. Okay. Then let's look at this one. Again, I'm going to start by looking at the first two numbers. So it goes 44, 47. It's going small to big. But then it goes to 45. Is that correct? Is that in the correct order?
No.
No, because this goes 44, then it goes up to 47, but then it goes back down. So no, this is not in the correct order. Then the next one. The 600, is it the smallest one compared to 700, 700? It's not the smallest one? I'm hearing somebody go no.
Yes.
This 600 is smaller than that 700 and 700. Then we can go to the, I don't even need to look at this one anymore. We're comparing these two. Then I'm looking at 39 and 82. Is that the correct order? Yeah, so here's another one. That goes from least to greatest. 698. Then in the 700s, 39, 782. And then, how many of you think that E? Raise your hand if you think it's in the correct order. So nobody here thinks it's in the correct order. Okay, sir, you're right. Nobody else? What about over here? Sir, do you think it's in the correct order, yes or no? This one right here, the E. Again, raise your hand if you think it's not in the right order. Raise your hand if you think it's in the not. Okay, let's look at this, Jaden. 389. This is like 38. And then doesn't 39 come after? Yeah. And then we've got 400s. So this is in the correct order. There happen to be 3 of them. And did we already go over these yesterday? Yeah, we already went. This is you'll have one of these. This time it had to be from the greatest. So this is what you need to study, these numbers, to make sure that you have it from the greatest to least. Did we do all of these, or did you you had some left? Okay, so this is to the nearest 10. When you say, watch carefully for the test tomorrow, when you say 10, that means our last digits should be a 0. So this last digit should be 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, because we're rounding, we're not putting the exact. So closer to 68 or 69, you look to your next door neighbor. If that's a great big number, it increases it to what? Shout it out.
70.
Does it increase it to 70?
70.
Does it increase it to 70?
No.
69. We're increasing it to the tens place, and you get to add 1 digit. 68 and 16, 68 and 1 is 69. So it increases to 690. This one, here's what we're rounding. It's going to be 34 or 35. But you look at your neighbor right next door. Is that a great big macho number?
No.
No. So it stays the same. But that still becomes a 0. So 340. You'll have one like this, so be careful. So this one is either going to stay 29 or it's going to become 30. You look to your neighbor. Is that a great big macho number?
Yeah.
So that means we can add 1 to 29. What's 29 plus 1 more? 30. So 30, and again, because of the tens, it changes to a 0. Now here's the ones you had to do at home. So here we go. So the last digit, we're rounding to the tens. So we know for sure this is a 0. And now we're going to look at our neighbor to see if he's a wimpy number or a macho number. Wimpy numbers doesn't have the power to change its number. Is this going to stay a 50 or become 51? Everybody. 50. So it ends up being 500 altogether. Very good. Give yourself a check if you got that. Then this one, we're rounding to the tens place. And again, because it's tens, the last one gets a 0. This is either going to be, let me see if you got it. I'm looking at somebody else's paper, so I don't know if this answer is right. We're going to find out. Look at your neighbor. Think of, is your neighbor macho or wimpy? I think so too. So do you think this is going to be 89 or 90? Shout it out.
90.
Very good. So it ends up being 90. And then that, remember, because it's a 10, so we round that to a 0. Good job. The hundreds. So when you're rounding to the hundreds, the last 2 numbers are going to be zeros. Okay, so 2 zeros, and then now the 5 is my next door neighbor. Is this 2 going to be a 2 or a 3?
3.
A 3, because that's a macho neighbor. So 300. Again, because it's 100, we put 2 zeros at the end. So here's 4. I'm going to look at my neighbor. Is he macho or wimpy? Wimpy. That doesn't have the power to round it. So it stays at 400. The next one, I'm going to cover up the rest of these answers. Who knows the answer to the 26? Luke, what? 800. Because my neighbor is macho. Is that macho 6? Yes, sir. Did you have a question? Oh, you're going to answer the next one? So, okay, what's the answer to number 27?
190.
What do,
No, 900.
900, good job. 900, because we're rounding to the 800, and my neighbor is an 8, which is a macho number, so we can add 1 to that 8, so it becomes 900. And the last one, shout it out, everybody, the final answer.
100.
Good class, awesome. Because my neighbor is a little wimpy, wimpy 4, doesn't have the power to raise that, so that becomes 100. Then, okay, and this is what you're going to study tonight. for the test tomorrow, okay? So on this one it says, Bailey is reading a book that has 445 pages. Timothy is reading a book that has 450 pages. Well, let's put Tim's book in numbers. How do I write 450? What's our first digit? Shout it out. 4. What's our second digit? 5. What's our third digit?
0.
Good. So here's Bailey. Here's Sir. I need you to listen. Whose paper is this? Esteban. Okay. Esteban. Bailey had 445. Timothy had 450. Estefan, whose book is longer? Oh, you're right. He got it right. So yeah, but I would suggest everybody that you take this number and you write it out in numbers. But this is right. Give yourself a little happy face if you got that right. It is Timothy. Then we got to skip this one. And then you had to do these two. So Shane said 265 rounded to the nearest 10 is 300. Is Shane correct? People, okay, the answer is no. I need you to listen. The number is 2, and write it down. If the answer should have been no. Okay, so we're going to round it to the nearest, what did it say round to? We're rounding it to the nearest 10, which is right here. Remember, if we're rounding to the nearest 10, that gets 1 0. And here's my neighbor. Is my neighbor macho enough to increase this by 1? Here's my neighbor. So is it going to be 26 or 27? He should have said 270. So is he correct? No. And that should have been the answer. Very good. The answer should have been 270. On this one, it didn't ask you to put 270. It just said yes or no. Is he correct? No. So no, he's not correct. But if you didn't get it correct, if you said yes, he's correct, then you need to go ahead and put this down so you get it right for the test. I'll have different numbers though. Then on this one, Margot travels. Oh, let's look at the question. Who travels the most? So Margot travels 576 miles on her vacation. Eva travels 509. Sarah travels 569. Who travels the most? Now let me ask you, Luke, what did you think? I think you're right, because here are all of the numbers: 576, 509, and 569. I don't even need to look at these because they're all the same. I just need to look at these numbers now because they're all different. And the one that is the biggest in that second column is this one. So it's the person that had 576, which is Margot. Very good. If you got Margot, again, you did a great job. So I hope you fixed up your mistakes as we went along. I'm not going to pick this one up. I'm going to let you keep this one to study. And he did a fabulous job. Thank you, sir, for letting me use your paper. Okay, so I'm going to give this back to you, and then I'm going to pass out. No, hold on a second. I'm passing out. Where are the books that I just had? I should have my 3rd grade book and my 4th grade book. Hold on, I'm going to pause this video for a second until I find it.